Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 18 of the Constant DisOgreement podcast. Despite popular demand, this is not a podcast about the Winter Olympics. I am joined today by Justin Long and Michael Nigerian. We are Justin is in Orlando, Florida today. For those of you keeping track at home, we've been in Maryland, Florida, Nevada, many different places during
This is now 4 different locations.
the lifespan of this podcast. We are proud of him, and um, yeah, I think his room is a little cleaner than mine right now. But that's not because he's living in a hotel. It's kind of easier to keep up with a hotel than.
So it's also very difficult to not have a cleaner room.
You cannot outdo the lack of cleanliness in Cam's room. So, but continue.
So the Orioles signed Chris Bassitt the other day in a signing that likely closed the door on the offseason in terms of starting pitching help. Well, it definitely closed that door, I think. Zach Gallen also retired with the Diamondbacks. Of course, Framber Valdez. That news broke before our last episode. But you sort of know the rotation you're going in with the Bassitt signing going into opening day. You'll have Kyle Bradish, you'll have Trevor Rogers, Shane Bond, and then likely Eflin, Bassitt, maybe Dean Kramer in there as well. So I know both of you were looking at the Baseball Savant page of Chris Bassitt before we started recording. That's what we were discussing in our pre-show meeting. So I'll start with Justin on this. What do you like about the Chris Bassitt signing, and do you think that it's enough of a upgrade rotation-wise that you can really feel comfortable going into opening day?
Yeah, I do. I definitely feel way more comfortable with the rotation after Bassitt signing because I think the number one thing that you have to like about Bassitt is that he is going to be out there every fifth day. He's going to pitch a ton of innings. He's going to, be a 6 innings, 2 or 3 earned run kind of guy. I think each of the last 4 or 5 years, he's thrown over 170 innings. And so, yeah, I think at the very least, he raises the floor of this rotation because I think, Rogers has had health issues, and last year he was fantastic, but it was in 110 innings. So we don't know what he's going to look like with a bigger, workload. Bradish is coming off of whatever surgery it was. Was it Tommy? Did he end up getting full Tommy John? He did, right? Was it full Tommy John? I can't remember because they.
I think so. I think it was.
Yeah, because they delayed it because they thought he could push through it, but then he couldn't and had to get Tommy John. But either way, just coming off of serious elbow injury, we don't know exactly what his innings are going to look like. He threw 40 some last year. Eflin's had injury issues. Boz pitched a lot of innings last year, but he's had injury issues. So I feel like at the very least with Bassitt, you're getting a guy throws a ton of innings. He'll be out there every fifth day. And I've seen people compare this to the Charlie Morton signing. I don't think it's the same at all. I think he's old, but I think he is substantially better than what we had with Charlie Morton last year. I think Bassitt is still a very productive pitcher. And yeah, I think it's a solid move, and I just think I like the consistency from him. He's not flashy by any means, but I think you know what you're getting with him, and he definitely makes me feel a lot better about the rotation than what we had before bringing him in.
Michael?
Yeah, I think the Chris Bassitt signing was a good one. I don't think he's a starting pitcher that any of us really had on our targets for the Orioles. I know Justin was dead set on Zach Gallen, especially after Valdez went off the board. It's hard to not be, at least indifferent about the Chris Bassitt signing. He's 2 seasons removed from an exact 200 innings on the dot with Toronto, in which he led the major leagues in starts. He made 33 starts, led the big leagues in wins as well with 16, which I know that isn't super important, but he led the big leagues in it. His WAR last year he had a 2.1 B WAR last year, which was just under the 2.7 he had in that 2023 season. Pitched 170 innings, had a complete game in there as well. Had fine strikeout numbers, walk numbers were all right. What stands out looking at his Baseball Savant page is 85th percentile in average exit velocity, 80th percentile in hard hit percentage, which tells you he doesn't give up a lot of hard contact. This is, I don't know if it's somebody, especially with him turning 37 in a week from the day we're recording this. I don't know if it's somebody I would have given $18.5 million to guaranteed. But it's maybe a little rich for my liking, but it's a good signing, and it'll top out at 19 million if he starts 27 games. He gets an extra 500,000. But for being a move that, like Justin said, is a lot better than Charlie Morton last year, and it's someone who at his peak is better than the number 5 that was in-house, Dean Kramer, somebody to give a little competition for Kramer, maybe, and insurance if any guys in the rotation go down. Hard not to like the move.
Yep. I like what both of y'all said, and I agree. I think it's a good signing for the Orioles, not an 8th level pitcher. But I do agree with Justin's point that, I think every year the Orioles do go with some sort of signing of someone who will be out there every 5th day, someone who can stay healthy, can pitch 180 to 200 innings a year, might not be, the best pitcher in the world, or the best pitcher in the rotation even, but just guys who can go out there, eat innings, and I think those guys have a lot of value. Jordan Lyle do it, Kyle Gibson. I think to some extent that's kind of what you wanted out of Charlie Morton. Whether or not that's what you got, it sort of left to be questioned. But yeah, no, I do think making this move is good, and I think, like Michael said, there is some competition in there. I think a lot of people are sort of sold on the idea that this means Dean Kramer is sort of the odd man out again. I don't know if I'm completely sold on that. I think Dean Kramer is a valuable starting pitcher piece. I don't know. I just feel like the Orioles tendered him a contract this offseason. And it's hard to think that, like, Eflin will not be in the rotation if he stays healthy. Same with Bassitt, obviously, being free agent signing. So I do think that is sort of an interesting question is, what do the Orioles do with that rotation, especially sort of near the bottom of the rotation if everyone stays healthy through spring training. And then also, obviously, Craig Albernon was saying that Tyler Wells will be the starter in spring training as well. So that's sort of another piece to the puzzle there. You still have, Cade Povich in the organization. For better or for worse, Brandon Young is not going to be a starting pitcher for that team. I think he's a good 9th guy to have in only everything falls off the rails. Maybe he'll make a start, possibly. Kind of starter that Brandon Young did. I guess it sort of leads to my next question is, what do you think will be, like, for with this move, like the bottom of the rotation? Do you think maybe Dean Kramer gets moved to the bullpen? Maybe Kramer gets optioned or DFA'd if he, doesn't have a great spring training. What sort of your thoughts on what the bottom of the rotation will look like come opening day, Justin?
I think I wouldn't rule out a 6-man rotation, honestly. And I don't love the idea of a 6-man rotation personally, but I do think at least maybe in the beginning of the year they could go with that because there are going to be guys in this rotation that they want to kind of limit the innings of. And also, though, it's just like, I agree with you. I don't really view Dean Kramer as like a bullpen arm, but because like you could put him in as the long man in the pen, but I don't really know if that would be a good spot for him. But also, they gave $10 million to Zach Eflin, and it's like, if he's healthy, you got to think he's in the rotation. And I also think if they're both completely healthy, like, I would prefer Zach Eflin over Dean Kramer by a pretty wide margin. I mean, Zach Eflin, he was really rough last year, but that's because he was battling injury off and on the entire season. But I mean, when this guy's healthy, he's a really, really good starting pitcher. Like, he's a guy who can sit in the low 3s of an ERA. I mean, his after the trade deadline with the O's, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I feel like he had like mid 2 ERA after coming to Baltimore after the trade deadline. Like, he was fantastic. And he started off last year hot too, and then he got hurt. So, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I would lean towards Dean being the guy left out if it is a 5-man rotation and it comes down to those 2 guys. But it really wouldn't shock me if they start the year with a 6-man rotation. And also, it's like, I hate to be that guy, but like, there's a decent chance that maybe one of these starters gets hurt in spring training and that none of this matters either way. And, it ends up being 5 of those guys. I mean, how often do we see that? It happens all the time. So it's one of those things that I think right now there's 6 clear arms that are deserving of getting starts, but there's a good chance that, it gets whittled down to 4 or 5 before opening day. So we'll see. But I would lean Eflin if it's just strictly between those two guys.
Mikey Natch.
Yeah, I do think if it comes down to picking 5 and everybody's healthy, I do think Dean Kramer is the odd one out, just purely based on performance. And I mean, I forget how many episodes ago we talked about this, or if it was even on camera or not. But we were talking about Dean Kramer's splits month by month, and his April numbers were
he has a 9 ERA
so bad.
in April. Yeah.
Yeah, he does not start the season very well at all, which I think is something worth considering. And he does have one minor league option left, 1 year of it. So I think if he has a 9 ERA in AAA to start the year, he comes up in May when somebody gets injured and he's dealing. I don't think anyone's going to hate that at all. Well, maybe Norfolk might hate that, but I don't think anyone else is going to hate that. And also to the point about the 6-man rotation, looking at the schedule right now, there's a good chance you're going to need a 6-man rotation for a little bit. They have an off day after the White Sox road series. April 9th, they have an off day. And then they play for 13 straight days, 2 series at home, 2 on the road, before they get another off day on the 23rd. And then before the Red Sox come to town. And then they have an off day after that on the 27th. After that off day, they start the Astros series the 28th. And then they have 7-10. They have 16 straight days before an off day in May. After April 27th, their next off day is May 14th, as things currently stand. And that includes 1 4-game series in there with the Yankees that, for whatever reason, ends on a Monday. But, there's definitely a chance you're going to need a 6-man rotation. Just for those couple stretches early in the season. But if it comes down to 5 and everybody's healthy, telling Dean Kramer, sorry, man, you're not in the mix. And again, to Justin's point, somebody's probably going to get injured at this point at sometime before March 27th or whenever opening day is. That's just how it's going to go. And who's to say Dean Kramer doesn't blow out his elbow pitching in the WBC? It's entirely possible. I hope he doesn't, but it's a very real possibility.
All right. So I think we got an official prediction there from Michael on what will happen during the
No.
I mean, it is possible, but I feel like an event where you're going to pitch at most 20 innings total. Is that what we think he's going to blow a double out? Not the 180.
All you need is one pitch. All you need is one pitch, Cam.
He got thousands of pitches in the big league. You think one of those in the WBC?
Edwin Diaz missed the entire 2023 season by celebrating.
I don't think there's going to be much celebrating for his team, though. I think he's in the clear.
Just watch the Orioles are going to put Enoli Paredes on the active roster just to punish me for that. It's going to be great.
All right. So yeah, no, I mean, I was looking at the sort of the projection for the upcoming season, Fangraph, sort of the steamer projections, all of that. For those 3 guys, Eflin, Bassitt, and Kramer, and I will say they're all pretty similar. Fangraph, all those projection sites, sort of have each of those pitchers in sort of the 4.2, 4.3 ERA range, sort of between 1.5 to 2.0, 2.1 FWAR for each of those 3. So I feel like the difference between those 3 kind of somewhat interchangeable in terms of just what they're projected to do. Obviously, those steamer projections aren't always correct. They're based on previous seasons. Sometimes pitchers figure things out during the off season. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes regression happens. All of that. But I think of the 3, the one with the worst projection was Dean Kramer. His ERA. I'm going to pull up his steamer right now. And let's see, 140 inning pitched. He projected to have a 4.47 ERA, 1.1 FWAR, 7.76 K per 9, 2.7 walk per 9, stuff like that. I mean, not, the projections aren't looking very favorably at Dean Kramer right now. I mean, the other guys are a little closer to the 4.2 ERA range and in the 2-ish WAR. So I do think that that's reasonable to say that if one of those guys had to be left out, it probably would be Dean Kramer. And I think the point about having a minor league option is a big point in the favor of maybe just sending him down to start the season, have him start the season in AAA, pitch with the Norfolk Tide. And, if someone gets hurt, if Bassett gets hurt, if Kyle Brash needs another Tommy John surgery, anything like that, then you can sort of have Dean Kramer come in, fill in. And then you also have, as we said, Weld, Albert Flores, guys like that also available. I think having depth is a good thing. And I think one thing the Orioles have really struggled with is not just setting up yourself for a 5-man rotation, but setting yourself for an 8-man, 9-man rotation, or having 8 to 9 major league caliber starting pitchers at your disposal because injuries do happen. I mean, they will happen. We're not gonna go with whatever our starting rotation is on opening day this year. We will not go with every single time through the rotation in 2026. It's just not going to happen. There are going to be injuries. There are probably going to be maybe some performance issues here and there, where you need to get guys out of the rotation, whatever the case may be. So I think having that depth is something that we have this year that we haven't really had in the past. Like, I don't think there's going to be a situation where one injury happens and all of a sudden Brandon Young is having to start every game for 2 months. And so I think we're set up in a good position there. I think Kramer having options really helped Povich. I think likely start to teach in the minors, all things remaining equal. So yeah, so I think I agree with all of those points that the Orioles are sort of, they're in a position where I think you have a couple of good pieces at the top of the rotation, and I think you sort of have major league average guy at the bottom rotation, which isn't bad. I think you'd rather have major league average than well below average, obviously, at the bottom of your rotation, and guys who can eat inning, guys who at least hopefully won't be Charlie Morton, or even last year's version of Dak Eflin. Hopefully we don't get a repeat performance of him. We can sort of, unless anyone have any other point they want to add about Bassitt, Eflin, Kramer, anything?
Did you guys hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, God is fighting you.
There's like a tornado warning going on outside. I just saw that. But
Oh,
one
nice.
thing I did want to point out, yeah, nice. One thing I did want to point out, and I'm not a big fan of the whole argument like, oh, if you take away these two blow up starts, blah, 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 right? But I was looking at the game logs for Bassitt, and he has 2 starts where he went 2 innings and gave up 9 runs, and then 2 innings and gave up 6 runs. And both those times, I mean, his ERA was at 3.61 and it jumped up to 4.29. And then he brought his ERA back down to 3.88 and then jumped back up to 4.24. And so I really think like he finished with an ERA under 4, but I think you take, even if those starts are, 5 runs instead of 8 or whatever, you're looking at a guy who's probably at a high 3.6 or 3.7 ERA. And I think that that's very respectable. I think having a below 4 ERA in and of itself, especially in 170 innings, is very respectable too. And then the one other thing I wanted to say was I did want Gallen. Like, I think Gallen would have been a nice addition, but especially after seeing him just go back to Arizona on the 1-year deal, I feel better.
Basically, the qualifying offer.
Yeah, it was the qualifying offer. I feel better about the Bassitt signing, I think, because the numbers Bassitt put up better numbers last year than Zach Gallen. Zach Gallen had a really rough year, and I think with Gallen, his upside definitely is higher than Bassitt's at this point, but also Gallen kind of has been trending in the wrong direction the last couple years, and Bassitt's kind of been that steady presence. And I know no one likes talking about it, but you do save the comp pick by just going with Bassitt. And they both signed 1-year deals. And so I do think, like, I know no one wants to talk about that, but I do think like this is one of the few times where I can kind of understand maybe the justification of, like, I'm assuming Elias probably viewed Gallen and Bassitt pretty similarly. They ended up getting similar deals, and we got to save the comp pick. So this is one of the few times where I can kind of agree with that thought process, even though most of the time I, am kind of like, go get the guy that you want. Don't worry about the competitive balance picks. But in this case, I think seeing what Gallen got makes me feel better about the Bassitt move. And yeah, Mike did mention it was kind of expensive, $18.5 million. But I kind of feel like on 1 year deals, like you can overpay a little bit because like you don't have to worry about this next year. You're not locking yourself into a long-term deal. And so I don't put too much stock into overpaying on a 1 year deal. Like, is he gonna be worth $18.5 million? Probably not. But if you liked him and you got to overpay a little bit, especially on a 1 year deal, I don't really hate it too much. But yeah,
Yeah, I think it was also jumping off that. I think it was also probably important for the Orioles to stay away from losing a comp pick, especially because you already traded one for Shane Baz earlier in the offseason. So I think they probably didn't want to lose another one in free agency. But yeah, I mean, and also Cam, the projections that you read off for Dean Kramer, that is such a Dean Kramer season. It's not even funny. Like that's actually
wait, what was it again?
I don't think he's like able to go below like a 4.3. I genuinely don't think.
According to Steamer, the projections were a 4.47 ERA, 1.1 F4, 290 Dick BABIP, 8-9 record, 140 innings, 43 games,
That
only
is
21 game starts. That's actually kind of interesting that they're projecting him to be used in the bullpen 22 times. I don't know what possibly goes into that projection, but
I mean that is Dean Kramer to a T right there.
Baseball Reference liked him a little more. They went with a 10-9 record with a 4.18 ERA in 157 innings. And they randomly credit him with one save also in their projection. I don't know why. But yeah, that's practically a carbon copy of what he did last year. I mean, last year it was an 11-10 record with a 4.19 ERA and 170 innings. He's going to sit around that. You know what you're getting with Dean, and you know it's going to be a terrible start to the year, but he's going to end up having months where he looks really good, and then he's
his ERA
6 runs.
His ERA is going to be yeah. His ERA is going to be too far gone by May 1st to get it anything below a 4.1.
Yeah, he's going to be at a 6.8 ERA, and then work his way down, and then he'll jump back up again.
He'll throw 7 shut, and then he'll follow it up with like 3 innings, 6 earned runs.
It's the most frustrating pitcher to watch, man.
It's so annoying. I mean, that's kind of what Charlie Morton did though last year. If you really think about it, last year.
Yeah, but Morton was way worse in total.
No, that's true. Morton
was for a bit. Hey Cam, I need you to stop doing that over there, real quick. I really don't like
Cam. What is Cam doing? What is Cam doing?
Seductively licking some rapper, and I just didn't like it at all. If you're gonna do that, at least like move your face out of the camera.
It's the ice cream again.
Yeah, come on, man. But yeah, so I have no clue what I was saying. I just got distracted by Cam doing that.
We were talking about Charlie Morton being significantly worse.
Charlie Morton was horrible. He had like that 1 month that was good, and then he was just horrible otherwise.
5.42 ERA in 100 innings.
That's bad.
It's not good. It is somehow worse with the Tigers. It's somehow worse.
Yeah, and then he got DFA'd, and then did he actually start again with the Braves?
He pitched 1 1/3 innings.
1 1/3, and then
shutout.
There you go. He puts on that Braves uniform, and he's a dog.
It was worth more WAR than he had with the Orioles.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
0.1 in that one outing with the Braves, and was negative 0.1 in
that's kind of
100 more innings. In 100 more innings, he had less than that.
That's crazy.
Negative 0.1 with the Orioles, negative 0.8 with the Tigers, and then 0.1.
He got it all the way up to negative 0.1 with us.
Yeah.
Even like in the -1 range, probably.
Yeah.
Well, that's because he had that stretch that made him.
I mean, I'm well
able
aware.
To be traded.
Yeah. I remember that stretch. Yeah. I mean, he was out there pitching and.
Weren't there still some people who were like, "Why'd they trade Morton? He was pitching well."
No way. No way.
Was there still that crowd?
That's crazy. That's crazy.
He was pitching fairly well, but obviously that's why you trade him.
Yeah, exactly. Do we want to talk about Holliday and Westburg?
I wanted to touch on Cower a little bit, Jackson Cower.
Okay.
I vote Holliday Westburg.
All right, Jackson Cower. I think everybody here has heard me talk ad nauseum about find bullpen upgrades, find bullpen guys any way you can. I don't know if I'd be willing to call him an upgrade at this point in time, but he's a bullpen guy. He pitched 17 innings with the Mariners last year. Nothing too crazy. He didn't light anything up. Had a Dean Kramer ERA, had a 4.24 ERA. But the fastball velocity, 5th percentile in Savant, it's like the only thing that he's it's one of the only things that he's qualified in. But everything else would be, a whole lot of blue. But I think the Orioles see the fastball velocity and they're like, this is something we can work with. They must feel confident that with their pitching program, they can get the off-speed stuff working a little bit, and they can turn him into, he was a first-round pick by the Royals for a reason. And I think, just the Orioles think that maybe with their pitching program, they can get him to, what the Royals and Seattle maybe missed. And he's also fully healthy now. He started last year rehabbing from Tommy John. Him being fully healthy right now, I believe, at least I haven't heard anything different. I haven't heard anything to say that he's not healthy. I think that's something to, I think it's something the Orioles think they can make him a little better for. Just spring training starts, and it's depth, that we keep, that pitching depth that we keep talking about. If you need him to come in and pitch a couple innings in June because Rico Garcia is injured, I don't think anyone's going to be overly upset about that.
Have you seen the Orioles kind of fix arms like this a couple times in the past? And so this is one of those guys that I don't hate them, because obviously it's a very low risk move. I think they traded cash considerations for him. So, but I think of Yennier Cano. I just was looking at Cano's numbers of the Twins, and he had an 11 ERA in 18 innings before coming over to the Orioles, and
I swear they were the fastball velocity when they picked him up. I swear they were talking about the fastball velocity.
Cano had good
something
stuff.
Like that.
Cano always had good stuff. He just couldn't throw strikes for the most part. And I also don't think they knew how, or I don't think he knew how to use his stuff. And so maybe, CNL Perez is the same thing too. He could not throw a strike before coming here. And obviously it didn't end well with Perez, but he put up a couple of really solid seasons. So yeah, I agree. I think getting a power arm like that, and maybe they see something in him, it can, at the very least, it can be some competition in spring training. Yeah, those are one of those moves that, if you're not going to get an established arm, I think getting someone who you can kind of see has some outlier stuff, I think that's a good move. So
yeah, Jackson Cower, negative 2.5 career WAR, over 162 game season would be negative 2.8.
He was a big bad.
He was a big prospect. He had 11, but he had an 11.27 ERA in 2021. Last year wasn't terrible, 4.24 ERA, but the 5.84 FIP worried me. Home run per 9 more than 2, which is not good. 7.9 strikeout per 9 isn't very good. I don't know. It's a project arm. I think we're going to see a lot of project arm.
Hey, you think about it this way: as a starting pitcher, he had an ERA of 11.27. As a reliever, he's not had an ERA of 11.27. It's progress.
It is progress.
It is progress. I'll give you that.
Progress right there. Yeah, I think that's a perfectly fine move, though. And I like getting a guy in there that at the very least has a good arm, and you can maybe turn that into something. So.
And also because apparently Colin Selby's shoulder is not great. That was the corresponding move. That was the corresponding move.
Which sucks, because Selby's not anything crazy, but he is another guy who has pretty decent stuff, and I think without Rock.
Yeah, he did all right. He did all right last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Jackson Cower, name somewhat rhymes with Colton Cowser. Anything?
Well, you can pitch like Colton Cowser plays center field. It's not awful.
I would argue it's been pretty awful for Cower, but
it has been pretty awful.
Hopefully,
well, it wasn't. Okay, wasn't really. I was talking about maybe what.
This is irrelevant, regardless. you know,
Wait, what's irrelevant?
this whole conversation that we're having about the connection between Cowser and Cower somewhat sounding similar, but having nothing else in common.
Okay, yeah, that well, they both are white guys with beard, but yeah, no,
Okay.
I digressed. But
Yeah, that's like what's the connection between Justin Long, our co-host, and Chris Long, the NFL player? I don't know if that's
Both white.
yeah.
what's the connection
There we
between
go.
Justin Long and Rob Long?
There's not much of a connection there, to be honest with you.
They both
Have the same
both
name.
Like to talk,
Have the
they
same.
both like to talk about the Orioles.
That's a great connection. You're right. That's on me. Oh, my bad. Hand up.
Wait, how? Wait, why am I putting my hand up?
Like that's on me. Like I'm taking accountability. Like,
You're
that's
putting
on
your
me.
hand.
Nope. Me. Yeah. Me. Yep. It's not all about you.
What?
Yeah, go on, Cam. Jeez.
So what we
I gotta be so
Jackson Holiday and Jordan Westburg. Come on, Cam. What are your thoughts?
A few weeks ago, someone told me that I told someone that the world doesn't revolve around.
This is all selfish Cam again, Justin. Just hijacking the segment.
Cam.
No, let me finish.
No, center it in. Center it in. We're talking about baseball.
I want to cut
the
that
Baltimore
out later.
Orioles.
No, leave this in. Leave this in.
I told the person that the world doesn't revolve around them, and they said, "Well, that's too damn bad, isn't it?" I think I want to use that line more often. So anyway, they were like, the world should revolve around me, and I agree, the world should revolve around me.
It shouldn't.
But
It shouldn't.
I think we'll be
leave all of this in, please.
Jackson Holiday's injury is sort of, Justin.
It's not great.
Is Justin hosting the podcast today?
It's because you can't stay on topic for anything.
I'm trying to get like a fever. Like, I'm not feeling good right now.
Do you want to?
Yeah, Justin, I think you're the host now.
Yeah,
All right,
no, but
I'm
anyway.
hosting this, but I'm calling on you right now to give your thoughts on Jackson. So you still, even if I'm hosting, you still have to say something.
So, I think Jackson Holiday is, we've talked about it. He's had his struggled, but it is a bit disheartening just in the sense that, like, it felt like this was a big year for Jackson Holiday, obviously, because, last year it felt like he definitely made some improvement on what was a terrible 2024, where he started didn't start the season in the big league, but got called up like a week into the season, but just really struggled, had to get sent back down for several months. But then came back up, showed promise sort of in August and September of 2024, had that grand slam against the Blue Jays that I think was sort of the highlight of his very early part of his career. And he showed some flashes of what he should be as the former number one overall pick, number one prospect in all of baseball. But ultimately, he couldn't really get everything together. And I'm disheartened by the news that he will miss opening day, just because it really did feel like this was the year where if he had a full, healthy spring training, he could really work out some of the kinks that have been killing him past couple of years, whether that be base running, whether that be second base defense, some inconsistencies at the plate, stuff like that. It felt like if he could have had that full spring training, it would have really helped in progression, and now he won't have any spring training. He's going to be out all spring training with a broken wrist or hand, something like that. He broke it during a batting practice or off-season workout. And it does suck. It sucked for him. I feel for the guy because I feel like with the spring training, I think he would have been able to get things together and showed good flashes. And I think from the Oriole perspective, it hurt not having a fully healthy lineup on opening day. I feel like every year there's always something. Last year, Gunnar Henderson was hurt for like the first week of the season, which was unfortunate. He did bounce back and ultimately was our best player last year on the offensive side without a doubt. Hopefully Holliday can bounce back from this, but I do think just not getting those reps and when he really, like, we know what Gunnar Henderson is. And I don't think like he needs reps in spring training to get to that level or as much as a guy like Holliday does. That's disheartening for him. And also, frustrated by the Jordan Westburg news because it's like, I just want a mostly healthy season out of Jordan Westburg at some point. When he's healthy, he's awesome. He's a great infielder, good defensive player, really good hitter. He can hit for power. He can hit for contact, decent speed, pretty good defense. Just does everything that he needs to on a baseball field pretty well. And that's really helpful for an Orioles team. And I think we're going into a situation where we're likely going to have Blade Alexander starting either at second base or third base. I think probably second base if both Westburg and Holliday are hurt. I would imagine Blade Alexander will be the starting second baseman, and then who knows at third base. Maybe that'll be Jeremiah.
Damn.
That's sort of my point. Like maybe it'll be Jeremiah Jackson. Maybe it'll be Kobe Mayo. Do you feel comfortable moving Mayo to third? For like everyday rep potentially if Westberg and Holliday are out for any sort of extended period of time. I saw Justin shaking his head no, and I agree. Like I don't feel comfortable with that. I want like if Mayo's still on the roster on opening day, um, I want to see him get an opportunity to hit. And with Pete Alonso around, with Samuel Battaglio and Adley Rushman around, that could be tough. It's going to be tough to find spot for Mayo to fit in, and to feel just a little bit better at third base. I would say, you know what, his bat is good enough. He showed good flash with the bat that I think you could take just an average third base out of Kobe Mayo, maybe even slightly below average to have his bat in the lineup. Unfortunately, I just don't think Mayo is even that. It's even like slightly below average at third base. Like I think he's just a complete liability there, based on um, what I've seen in the limited experience that I have to him play third base, which was mostly when he was first called up back in 2024. That being said, maybe getting a month and a half worth of rep starting now and going into opening day, maybe that'll turn him into a serviceable third baseman. Who knows? But yeah, it's disheartening for both Holiday and it's frustrating. It's disheartening for Holiday and frustrating for Westberg. Obviously, he's not getting hurt intentionally or anything like that, but I think it's a fan when you see guys that have so much potential and just keep getting hurt. I think Tyler O'Neill's kind of the same way. I'm a Hornet fan, so it feels like LaMelo Ball kind of fits that mold too. From their perspective, it's very frustrating as a fan. You just want to see these guys be healthy, and I know that it's not a Hornets podcast, but they've been fully healthy the last month and a half, and they've been the best damn team in the NBA. I feel like that's kind of what the Orioles can be too, where it's like fully healthy. I think they're one of the best teams in baseball, but the real question is, do we have a fully healthy team this year?
Yeah, and I think the other thing that sucks, going back to the Holiday injury, is that apparently, so he broke it's like the hamate bone in his hand, and apparently it takes a while for guys to regain their power after that happens. Like, so he might come back from the injury in, 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks or something, but he might be struggling with his grip strength and his power throughout the entire season. And I think that, that can lead to overcompensating and trying to, swing harder and kind of getting out of your approach. And so, yeah, I think with Holiday, it's like, it's so disappointing because his first couple of years really have been struggles. And so I think this was like the year. Now there's, a great foundation in this lineup. We just got Pete Alonso, which I really do think like fixes everything. Or like I think Pete Alonso fixes a lot of things other than just adding a huge right-handed bat to our lineup. I think it also, provides a lot more protection for these guys, and I think it just makes, every spot in that lineup a little more valuable if you can put Holiday in the 7th spot, or if you want to put him in the 9th spot or something like that. It sucks. I thought this was going to be a big year for Holiday, and now it's one of those things where I could see this being an injury that kind of lingers for a bit. And then, yeah, with Westy, it's he's such a good player and he's such a glue guy on this team. He just cannot stay healthy at all, and it really sucks. And now, so at first the report was that, and I think this was Mike Elias that said he's expected to miss a couple of the like spring training games. So that didn't seem like a significant injury. But then Westberg said that there's no timeline on his injury, and it's kind of like if there's no timeline, does that mean that he's not going to get into spring training games? Is it going to linger into opening day? So and knowing the Orioles, we've had a lot of bad luck when it comes to those injuries that are just kind of the wait and see sort of thing. That makes me really nervous. And I will say, I do feel a lot better. I know we complained about giving up Cade Stroud, but like I feel a lot better that we have Blaze Alexander on this team, because at the very least, he is a guy that can be a league average hitter and then can be really good defensively in multiple spots, and now he's probably going to get pushed into, starting at potentially second or third. And then, yeah, I don't trust Kobe Mayo at what is going on down there. I see things changing every 2 seconds. I don't trust Kobe Mayo to start at third at all. His defense has not looked good there whatsoever. I honestly wonder if maybe, like, I would prefer seeing maybe Jeremiah Jackson at second base and Blaze Alexander at third. Because Jackson, I don't think is very good defensively either, but at least you can kind of hide him at second base. But you can't really hide Kobe Mayo at third. So it's going to be interesting. There were still rumors that Mayo and Mountcastle are in trade talks. I don't know if that's gonna happen because Mayo's role definitely has increased with these injuries. But I don't know. We'll see. Cam's an idiot apparently.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do agree with all of that, and I am re-honing hosting duty that I will not be allowing Michael to speak on this issue. But no, I think, yeah, it's all frustrating. Michael, what are your thoughts on the Jordan Westburg, Jackson Holliday conundrum?
I think we're getting to the point where Kobe Mayo has himself an opening day roster spot. Like, just saw Justin's face just go, like, damn it. But yeah, Jackson Holliday, it's particularly bad timing for him to be injured right now because he's somebody who you needed a big 2025 from, or sorry, 2026 from. He made strides last year. Like, yeah, he played 149 games, so he was mostly healthy, but still had a 95 OPS plus. He's still a below league average bat. 17 homers. He had the same amount of homers as he did stolen bases. So, you were hoping for somebody like Holliday to be, a little more aggressive with stolen bases. You're hoping for him to kind of round himself into a more complete player this year. And he's 22 years old. So there's still plenty of time for him to do that. I just think you were really counting on a big year from Jackson Holliday in the lineup. If you want the team to go far, Jackson Holliday is going to be a key cog to that. So him missing probably I think he'll miss like probably a month or so to start the season. And then, to Justin's point, the power for guys coming back from hamate bone injuries, it hasn't really been there a lot of the time. So that's something you have to worry about too. I mean, Gunnar Henderson was playing through shoulder impingement in 2025, and he said that really affected him when he tried to swing the bat a lot of times. And I think that's why you saw like his power numbers go down and such. And Jordan Westburg, I mean, we've said it, like, the guy can really play baseball. Like, he is a baseball player. Like, he's really smart out there. You rarely see him make a lot of mistakes. I mean, last year we were talking about, like, is he made of glass? Played in 85 games, and the numbers were fine, those 85 games. And in 2024, he played 107 games. Like, he hasn't been super healthy in his MLB career. He hasn't really had a full season since 2023, and that was split between 68 games in the majors, and then the rest of the time was in AAA. So I think you needed infield insurance for Westburg no matter what, and I think that's probably why they acquired Blaze Alexander in the first place. And I know the Orioles didn't seem too worried about him missing any time at the start of the season, but like, let's just say that happens and he's perfectly healthy to start the season. Like, he's probably he's a guy who historically is going to get injured at least twice in a season, once, maybe twice. So that's somebody that you need insurance for. And I mean, at this point, it's Blaze Alexander, it's Jeremiah Jackson, and I hate to say it, the next one up's Kobe Mayo. Like, if both Jackson Holliday and Jordan Westburg start the season on the injured list, you're looking at Kobe Mayo in playing third base, as Justin has dropped out of the stream. So, like, yeah, the injuries, it's not great, particularly for Holliday, because you were counting on him to play a big role at second base. And now with Westburg, if he misses time, you're looking at Kobe Mayo playing third base consistently.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, I just don't know about Kobe Mayo. I mean, do we how comfortable do we feel with him playing third base? I know that he had a lot of minor league reps at third base, no sort of a position that he played at for coming up, partially just because that's kind of where we knew there would be a need when he got called up, and our host in training has returned. But what?
Yeah, I don't see that happening. I just don't think. Sure, you've got a couple infielders looking at injuries right now in Holliday and Westburg, but I just don't see the. I just don't see the possibility of that happening. Honestly, I don't know why. I just kind of don't see. I don't see that being a possibility, like at all, because I feel like that's why. If you were going to keep Arias around as like a utility guy, I mean, I feel like Jeremiah Jackson, he's not as good defensively, but he's not anywhere as good defensively as Arias is. But I think that's kind of what Jeremiah Jackson does. And I think if you wanted a good infield defender, emphasis on infield, you could have kept Jorge Mateo around to play that same role as well for not a lot of money. So, I just I don't see, I could be wrong. Like, we could get a notification that, like, we could see tomorrow that somebody's going to be out for like 2 months, and then maybe I could see it happening. But as of right now, it's pretty hard to believe that the Orioles, I don't put much stock in, maybe the Orioles will bring him back. I don't see it happening.
Yeah. Do we think everyone currently involved with the Orioles will have a season-ending injury during the World Baseball Classic?
See, stop. No, see, that's not. I didn't even.
Gunnar Kramer.
I would be devastated.
I never said this.
Hurt.
I don't.
Playing for Team
Yeah,
USA.
if Gunnar can turn to World Baseball Classic, I'll be riding my pitchfork at dawn. Wait.
One if by land, 2 if by sea situation.
3 if by pitchfork.
So wait, were you asking about Ramon Arias?
No, that's not.
Yeah, that was.
Yes, he was.
My question was like, do you think there's any possibility, and what's your pushback?
I don't think so. Just because they traded him for nothing, and I don't think they value him that highly. And I like Ramon Arias. Honestly, I thought the trade when they did it made no sense, to be honest with you, because Arias was a guy that...
Yeah, we kind of said that on the pod.
Yeah, we didn't get anything in return, and he was a guy that was under team control and wasn't expensive, and he played his role here fine. And you look at the injuries to Holliday and Westy now, and it's if we had him still, we probably wouldn't have had to go trade for a guy like Blaze Alexander. And I do think Alexander is a better player than Ramon Arias. I would rather have Blaze Alexander because I think he might have more upside as a hitter. He's a better athlete. He can play the outfield.
There's a lot more upside.
There's a lot more upside, definitely. But I just think that, if Cade Stroud goes on to be a really good pitcher, we might be looking back on this and wishing that we had just held on to Ramon Arias and would also have Cade Stroud. But I do really like Blaze Alexander. I'm excited about that move. But yeah, I know, and especially with Jeremiah Jackson looking promising at the plate at the very least, I don't see a need for Arias. I don't. That doesn't seem very likely to me. But I'm surprised he hasn't been picked up though, because I do think he's a good player. You're telling me that there aren't a couple of rebuilding teams that
he was a 2-WAR player last year.
Yeah, I don't know why he got. Did he get non-tendered or DFA'd? What was it by Houston? I guess they have a lot of infielders on that roster because they traded for
Correa, Altuve, Pena,
Paredes.
They needed an outfielder, and Ramon Arias is not that.
No, he's not. But you're telling me that I look at the Pittsburgh Pirates or something. The Pirates can plug him in at third base and be better there. I think they would. They're looking for a third baseman apparently, because I don't even know who's playing there. Jared Triolo, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, you have Connor Griffin coming up.
He's going to play shortstop.
Well, yeah. But then you have, Nick Gonzalez, I think.
Yeah.
Could maybe move to...
Who's their shortstop right now that they felt the need to put O'Neal Cruz in center field for?
Why am I blanking out? Who's playing shortstop?
Wouldn't he, could he play third?
Well, I think they moved O'Neal Cruz not because they had a replacement, but because he couldn't play shortstop.
Clearly can't play center field
either. He can't play center field either.
I don't think he's horrible defensively. in center field.
I mean, that's fair. I think
Like,
judging a guy
advanced
based on
number.
one moment live.
His effort's bad, but like I don't think I could be wrong. I'm gonna look at his baseball savant. I didn't think he was horrible.
Yeah, no, I think Ramon Urias, I mean, he'll be picked up by someone. Maybe waiting until, like, the spring training injuries happen and kind of what he's banking on, A team like the Orioles lose two infielders, or maybe fucking Cardinals lose their two starting infielders in spring training. Yeah. Oh, what was the third thing? Are there any other, spring training battles that you all are sort of looking forward to sort of I know we already talked about sort of the last starting rotation spot, sort of stuff that'll be happening within the rotation. But I think as things stand now, I think there could be maybe an argument that's a big spring training for maybe Tyler O'Neill, Dylan Beaver, maybe to see like what happens there. Maybe it's a big spring training for I don't know. Anyone want to talk?
It's big spring training for the center field depth.
I do.
But
I think Heston Kjerstad is interesting. I don't have high expectations
Yeah.
for Kjerstad because it's just so hard to tell with him. When he's played, he hasn't been good, and he's had so many health issues, and we still don't really know what happened last year. Apparently declined to say it.
He doesn't want to talk about it either.
Like, I don't know. I don't think that's a good sign at all. It is interesting to see him back healthy now, and I don't think he'll be on the opening day roster, but I mean, he is a guy who can hit. He's shown it before. There's a lot at play there. And then I think this year more than any other year in recent memory, I'm going to be watching these like fringe bullpen arms because I just think there are so many spots up for grabs in that bullpen, and it's like can Cano get back to being that low 2 ERA all-star guy? I don't know, but can some of these guys like Jackson Cower, who's the other guy we picked up? Hans Cruz, was that his name? I think from the Angels. Yeah,
Kraus.
Hans
Kraus. Yeah.
And then there are a couple lefties that apparently have been generating some buzz as well, and some lefties that they brought over from.
I mean, the only lefty I could think that's generating buzz is Grant Wolfram.
No, there was a different guy. There's a guy that was like in independent ball that apparently they brought over. That's kind of a funky lefty that guys were high on or something. I saw something on Twitter about it. I don't remember the guy's name, but either way, I'm excited to see because there should be. I mean, how many spots do we think are guaranteed in that bullpen right now? I think Helsley, Kittredge.
Helsley, Kittredge, Aiken, and
Garcia.
4.
I think it's 3.
4.
I think it's 3. I think it's Helsley, Helsley, Aiken, and Kittredge. I think those are the 3.
Yeah, you
really?
might be
You
right.
think that's it? You think those are the only ones that are guaranteed?
I mean,
I think a bad spring training out of anyone else
yeah,
could,
I
do
can see
amazing.
that too.
I think I like Dietrich Jens. I think he'd have to play his way out of it, but I don't think it's impossible to do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, who are you more confident in at this point? Like, I don't know that there's another.
Well, what's your definition of the word guarantee? I guess is what we're getting.
Yeah,
at.
I think those guys have the head.
My definition would be guys who have to play themselves off the team.
Well, I think
that would be the way I see it.
I think guaranteed, for me at least, is more like as long as they're healthy, regardless of how they pitch, they're going to be in the bullpen. And I think Cam might be right. Kittredge, Helsley, and Aiken are probably the only guys that they could be as bad as possible in spring training. They're probably still going to make definitely Kittredge and Helsley, but I do think Enns and Garcia are as close as possible to guaranteed, just because there are no other arms that you can really feel comfortable about. And I think those guys at least proved to be productive last year.
So then that leaves you, let's say that's 5 spots. That leaves you 3. Do you go with like Cano?
I think Cano gets one.
Cano, Grant Wolfram if you wanted another lefty, and then like Cano, and then like Cower.
Cower, maybe.
That's what I mean. Or like Geraldo. Like, where do you
Yeah,
go from
and
there?
there are probably some guys that Albert Suarez possibly I could see too. Oh, well, actually, we didn't even talk about Tyler Wells. I think Tyler Wells has one of those guaranteed, right?
Well, not if he's he's being built up as a
But
starter.
he's not going to make the
so
rotation,
maybe not.
right? But like, if he's,
I mean, if these injuries that we were talking about happen,
sure. But like, okay,
then
how many guys? I think he would be the next guy up if
I would argue he's your seventh starter.
yeah,
at
he
this
is,
point.
and then probably Povich is 8. So
I have more confidence in Tyler Wells starting games than Cade Povich.
I do too. Gosh, I gotta say though, man. Also, I think the Bassitt signing is really important because it probably pushes Wells to the bullpen, which is, I think, something that we desperately need to do. Like, I think looking at this Wednesday, the bullpen,
I don't know.
Wells has to be there.
Yeah, I don't like the thought of Tyler Wells being this far up the depth chart to start games, but I mean, realistically, I have more confidence in him than Cade Povich and Brandon Young. But yeah, I think Tyler Wells in the bullpen raises the ceiling of
There apparently Garrett Clevenger from the Rays is getting some trade buzz. That would be a great move, I think, for the O's.
That would be
awesome.
That would be something. I would be in favor of that.
And still, Jojo Romero, I think, could get moved because the Cardinals want to move anyone they can, and so if we can find a way to get Romero,
the Cardinals are moving anyone with a pulse.
I'm surprised he hasn't been traded already, especially in the bullpen market.
And Garrett Clevenger, 2015 third-round pick of the Orioles.
Yeah.
So they clearly like the guy.
Yeah.
They clearly like the guy.
Clearly like the guy.
They did at one point. But in the last couple of years,
they liked him enough to take him in the third round.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was stellar with the Rays last year.
And the year before, too. I think he's had 2 years in a row that have been pretty good.
Yeah, his 2025 was just that was better.
It was.
Than his 24.
If they could get,
he was 0.8 BWAR in 24, 1.9 in 25.
If they could get one of those,
like guys, his ERA dropped by almost 1.5.
Wow.
Like, he was good.
So, in doing my research, I do believe that me and Justin were a little more correct in our definition of the word guarantee. According to Merriam-Webster, a guarantee is an insurance an event, result, or effect is certain. It can also mean a promise to answer for the payment of a debt or the performance of a duty of another in the case of one default or miscarriage.
All right, so Cam crashed, so it looks like the point he's trying to make is forfeit.
Wait, can you all hear me now?
The second half of your definition got completely cut off.
Yeah, so looks like the point he was trying to make is forfeit. You know, these roster battles.
Yeah. No, I mean
I would also be interested to see how the bench spots in the outfield play out. To be perfectly honest, like, this isn't just me trying to change the subject. Like, you can pencil in right now Tyler O'Neill, Taylor Ward, Colton Cowser as hopefully your 3 starting outfielders. And then it comes down to Dylan Beavers, I think, would have to play himself off the team I think he would really have to have a horrible spring to be off that roster. So realistically, you've got 4 outfielders locked in. And then do you go with Leody Taveras? Do you go with, if Heston Kjerstad realistically hits the cover off the ball all spring long, do you still put him in AAA and go with Taveras? Or do you look long and hard at Kjerstad and say, look, he's dominating, like, we have to reward that?
They're just not going to have at-bats for Kjerstad, though. Like, I have no clue how he would get at-bats in that outfield.
I think after Tyler O'Neill hit 2 home runs on opening day and then...
if O'Neill falls off the face of the earth again.
Yeah. Kjerstad is an interesting case. Like, I've not thought about him. Then I saw a video of him hitting a 4-foot bomb on the first day.
Wasn't it off Keegan Aiken?
Never mind, who cares?
What do you mean, who cares?
I think it also depends, too, though.
That's your top lefty reliever. What do you mean, who cares?
But
I do care that Keegan Aiken is my top lefty reliever on a team that I want to win a World Series.
Well, that's what I mean. Like, what do you mean, who cares? Now do you see why I've been talking about lefty reliever?
I've been agreeing with you.
I think everyone knows they need more relievers, no doubt. But it's just it just seems like we're getting to a point in the offseason where the likelihood of that is just kind of dropping.
Well, and also nobody was overly vocal about it until the last episode.
No, see, I think,
like I was always like, yeah, reliever, and you guys were always like, yeah, and then it's like, okay, Framber Valdez. It's like,
because getting a starter was no doubt a bigger priority. I think
a good starting pitcher gives you 180 innings and a good reliever.
And also, it's like you can find relievers who will randomly pitch well for you. We found like 4 guys in the second half after the trade deadline last year that were serviceable for us.
Yeah, no, you're right. I just, if your goal is to win playoff games and win a World Series, I don't know how you can have Keegan Aiken, you can look at Keegan Aiken and say, this is the top lefty who's gonna, hand us a World Series title. Like, I don't know. That's the only thing. I mean, that's basically what Cam just said.
I mean,
yeah. Teams are gonna have weaknesses.
Well, the Dodgers also had Yamamoto throwing a complete game every 3 days.
But teams,
you had one out short of a complete game one time and still didn't fucking win.
Teams, though, we see them win a lot, and they don't have the most stellar bullpens ever. I mean, I remember that when the Rangers won the World Series, like that was the whole thing going into the playoffs, that they had the worst bullpen in the league or whatever. And so I think if bullpen is your biggest need, that makes me, I'm not comfortable with the bullpen right now. I'm not. I 100% think, like, I would love it if we could get Romero and get Kopech or something like that. Like, that would change everything for me. I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be awesome if it did. But, like, I feel confident that they can get some productive relievers at the deadline, or, even through waivers or something like that at some point in the season, because we've done it before. But I don't trust that we can. I don't know what Cam just took out of his mouth there. I feel uncomfortable. But I don't think we can just magically spawn, starting pitchers that are going to throw 175 innings for us. So I agreed with you, Mike. You were the most vocal about it. But I also think that was just like, we all agreed that bullpen was a need. But yeah, I thought that we had to prioritize getting a starter first, for sure.
Danny Coulomb, still on the market. 1.2 WAR player.
Everyone's obsessed with Danny Coulomb. I don't want Danny.
He's the best lefty available to you.
You don't want him?
Like, what are you talking about?
You don't want him?
I mean, not in much of Andrew Bafton and Michael Najarian think it'll like save our season.
I'm not saying
you wouldn't need Keegan Aiken to pitch the 7th inning every night if you signed Danny Coulomb.
Yeah, it's scary looking at this bullpen right now. I feel good about Helsley, and then Kittredge, I think, is a good middle reliever.
Keegan Aiken is historically not a good leverage reliever. I mean, Justin went over his splits inning by inning.
Yeah, it's
last
bad.
episode.
It's bad.
It's not about Keegan Aiken, it's about Danny Coulomb.
Yeah, and you're telling me Danny Coulomb isn't a better option than a guy who has a career 8 ERA in the 9th inning? Like, what do you mean?
I think he's marginally better, yeah.
I do think that people are overestimating how good Danny Coulomb is. This is a guy that is kind of a funky reliever that, doesn't throw hard, doesn't have the best underlying metrics and stuff. I think he's good, but I do agree that he's not going to, if we signed him, it would probably be on a 1-year, $4 million, and it probably wouldn't make.
They could have had him for $4 million.
I know, they could have.
They were like, we're good.
But it probably isn't going to make a huge, gigantic difference. I still would like it if they did it, but I do get the sentiment that it's not like going to save our bullpen necessarily. Like, I wouldn't feel good about Coulomb.
Yeah, you can't
inning for us necessarily.
Oh, for sure. But I feel better about handing Danny Coulomb a high leverage spot than I do Keegan Aiken. Like, I think Danny Coulomb probably has been a little overhyped, but you can't look at the stats. You can't look at Danny Coulomb versus Keegan Aiken and tell me that Danny Coulomb is not going to help the bullpen as things currently stand.
No, he would. And I
he would help
agree.
the bullpen.
He feels he is definitely more trustworthy in high leverage spots than Keegan Aiken. And I also love Danny Coulomb. Like, he was a guy that people, the players and the media loved around here. So I would be thrilled if they brought him back. But I do think that people on social media, not just our group chat, but on Twitter and everything, are like acting like Danny Coulomb would bring a World Series to Baltimore. And it's like, I don't think it would be that big of a difference necessarily.
He did have, for whatever this is worth, had 2 saves and an ERA not much higher than 1. So did Twins last year.
But he struggled with Texas.
Awful team. Yes, he struggled with Texas down the stretch, but he was a 1.6 WAR player with the second worst team in the AL Central.
I agree. I mean, I think Coulomb would
in
help.
20 more innings than he had with the Rangers.
Yeah, I think Coulomb would help, no doubt. And honestly, I think any proven lefty reliever would help us right now. Dietrich Enns pitched well for us last year, but he also is a reverse splits guy. I don't know if you guys remembered that, but he was substantially better against righties than lefties. So I don't know if maybe that was just an outlier season, but I don't know if he's going to be great against lefties for us. And Keegan Aiken, it's well documented how a lot of people, including us, feel about Keegan Aiken, and I don't trust him in big spots. So it would be great if we got Danny Coulomb for sure. I don't really have high hopes it's going to happen. I don't know if they're really going to add any more established bullpen arms. I would like to see a lefty happen. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, why wouldn't they have done that by now? It just seems weird.
I mean, at this point, Coulomb and Jalen are like the only established bullpen arms that are left.
And Kopech.
And Kopech, yeah, he's coming off injury.
Yeah,
as well.
True.
So
I don't even remember where we started.
Justin Wilson technically, but he's also said I'm either signing with a World Series contender or I'm retiring.
Well,
and he remains unsigned.
Come to Baltimore then, because we're bringing it home.
Yeah.
Baby. Come on.
Yeah. Keegan Aiken's gonna slam the door in the 9th. Yeah.
I think the bullpen's going to
strike out Ohtani in the 9th.
I think the bullpen's going to be better than it looks on paper, and maybe that's not saying much because it looks horrible on paper, but
it scares me. It scares me on paper.
But this is a whole new staff. Like, we don't know what they might be able to make some things click with guys, and like Yennier Cano has not pitched well the last couple of years, but we know he has good stuff. We know that would it be that shocking if Yennier Cano got back to being a low 3 ERA reliever that can be
a little bit?
You think? Well, I mean,
I
last year he
surprised.
was bad, but the year before he was in the 3s for his ERA, right? Wasn't he? I'm gonna check that.
Yeah, I think his 2024 as a whole was good. It was a 3.15 in 70 games, but I think he had a lot less WAR than he did in 23, and I think by the end of the season, end of 2024, I think a lot of people were kind of out on Cano.
He was worse.
Because I don't think he ended the season very well at all.
No, and I think the underlying numbers were pretty bad, but just something to take into account. Actually, his underlying numbers his advanced numbers were not bad in 2024. Like, they weren't amazing. But this is kind of crazy.
I think it was more of like a recency bias thing of like he started the year really well, and then I think he was like ice cold to end the year.
Yeah. His 2025, I think he kind of got unlucky in 2025. He was in the 93rd percentile in barrel rate, 86th percentile in hard hit rate, 90.
He saved 2 games for the Orioles.
Well, yeah,
I almost can't believe that.
I
almost can't believe that.
I don't want him pitching anywhere. Well, I don't want him pitching in the 9th inning. He's another guy that cannot pitch in the 9th inning.
Yeah. No, for sure. I'm just more of like, can you believe he saved 2 games with the 2025 that he had?
That is
like
crazy. He had an expected ERA.
Cano going to be your closer next year?
I would rather Keegan Aiken be the closer than Cano.
God, that's bleak.
I agree.
Genuinely. Like genuinely.
Real quick, Cano had an expected ERA of 3.69, 65th percentile. I don't know. Maybe
It's true. The FIP was also 4.27,
Yeah.
which I mean, compared to 5.12, it's still not great, but compared to his actual 5.1 ERA,
and
it's a heck of a lot better.
I mean, they had a choice to non-tender him, and they didn't. And it would have been a pretty easy choice to do so. I think he's making like $2 million this year or something.
Yanier Cano was tied for the third most saves last year on the team.
Who are the top two?
Nope.
So Batista.
Number one was Felix Bautista with 19. Number 2 was Keegan Aiken with 8.
Keegan Aiken had 8 saves.
That's depressing.
He had 8 saves. Yeah.
How many did he blow? It
And
felt
then-
like he blew like half of them.
Yeah, probably 4 or 5. Yeah.
Probably.
And then Cano, Sir Anthony Dominguez, Ryan Baker, Dietrich Enns, and Corbin Martin somehow
Yeah, I remember that.
had
I think
2
our-
saves.
I think I remember the Corbin
One
Martin
was against the
game.
Blue Jays.
And then
When
Yeah.
Bichette
Gregory
swung
Soto
at
had
that-
1.
When Bo Bichette swung at that pitch at his eyes.
Yep, that is correct. That was the save.
There were 38 saves from Orioles pitching last year, and half of them were from Felix
How many
Bautista.
wins do we have? Like 72, something like that. I don't know.
75.
Hey, I'm close.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we have to talk about?
I am ready to be done.
Okay. Well, let's call it then, because I didn't realize you changed it to deathly ill. Hang in there, man.
I'm not gonna die. I don't
Hang
think,
in
but
So Justin, it might just be the two of us on the next.
y'all might need to make some plan for like if I die. What are the contingency
Got
plans
it.
for the podcast?
Okay. Who do you want it passed
Mhm.
down to?
Yeah. Well, it's not going to be me. I know he's not going to pick
You
me.
can't pick a Red Sox fan. I'd be deeply offended if you did that.
Yeah, but I mean, you can.
I'll give
You
it-
can
I'll give
pick
it
a
to
guy.
Vitor. I'll give it
That's
to
fine.
Vitor.
I can live
That's
with
good.
that.
Yeah.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
I mean, y'all are never
Yeah,
having.
but
an episode again if
you
that's
can
the
pick a
case.
guy who's good at hosting.
Okay. I think if I were given the chance, I would be just fine at hosting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but I mean, you're looking at the host of the parking lot preview over here. It's Harbor House. Like that's nothing crazy.
Okay, wait. One last thing. Who do you think is going to be the opening day starter?
Good question.
Kyle Bradish. I don't think it's that complicated.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will be Kyle Bradish.
The only reason
I think having a new.
with Rogers is like he did.
I mean,
win
Trevor Rogers.
MVP, Orioles MVP last year.
It's not going to be Trevor Rogers, though. I don't.
I don't know. I think he has a chance. I still would lean Bradish. I think Bradish is the ace of this staff.
I think it's going to be. I think Bradish 1, Rogers 2, Boz 3, Eflin 4, Bassett 5.
I think Bassett goes higher than that. I don't think Eflin gets to 4.
You think who would you flip him?
I
You would
might
flip
even
him with
put
Eflin?
Bassett at 3. I think they're gonna kind of.
I would not put that.
I think they're gonna. Well, I mean, does it really matter that?
I don't hate it. I
just think from like a seniority standpoint, they might do that because they're still wanting Boz to prove himself.
I don't hate it.
I mean, Bassett got $18.5 million in free agency. Eflin got $10 million. I think. Like,
I don't hate that. I mean, at the start of the season, I mean, between the 3 or the 4, you'd either be facing the Twins or the Rangers. Like, it's not.
Yeah, that's not anything crazy. I mean, yeah, I think Eflin or Kramer is the 5.
I could see Bassett being the 3, though. That's not.
Yeah.
That's totally possible.
Yeah.
I just think with how much they traded for Boz, I think they would want to
That's fair.
I agree.
That's fair.
elevate him into that spot.
I mean, dunk cost fallacy, all that. Like, the dunk cost probably shouldn't matter, but I think it does.
I think it
just
also
from a
depends probably
psychological perspective.
how he pitches in spring training. Like if Boz comes out and is just filthy, then they might throw him in there. Because, how many we start the year at Camden Yards? Is it are both series against, or is it Twins and then the road?
Twins and Rangers are the first 2 series, and they're both at Camden.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I was gonna say they might want to
And then you-
Boz a home start, but he would get one. of those.
Honestly, the schedule to start the year is not that crazy. Like your first 4 series are Twins, Rangers, Pirates, White Sox.
They got to start hot, man, because
that's not.
It's funny.
Those are 4 very winnable
really
series.
does matter. Yeah,
it matters a lot.
Those are 4 winnable series right there.
Especially because everyone says that it's April, those games don't matter, right? And then you look at last year, and if we hadn't had that horrible April, we would have been a playoff contender. If
they were even a 500 team in April,
they're competing for a wild card spot if that happens.
If the Orioles were 500 in April, they're
Grant,
square in the mix.
Do you think April mattered more or less than any other calendar month?
No.
If that really terrible month happened in June, do you think it would change things?
I mean, not necessarily, but I just think that people always talk about, and baseball is a long season, and there are going to be ebbs and flows. Just that's the classic cop-out answer. Oh, well, it's just April or blah, blah,
I mean,
games are going to be important.
April can't win you a season, but it can lose you one.
For sure.
And I think that was perfectly demonstrated last year.
I mean, no, I think the way we come into the season really does matter. I'm not usually a fan of sort of some of the cliches within baseball that I don't know. Game 1 and game 162. So no, I think April. It's a very important month just in the sense that we gotta if we start the season even 5 games below 500 coming out of April, it's such a hole you have to dig yourself out of. And I think psychologically it's tough to dig yourself out of that hole. You have to be really good the rest of the season because of how good you're going to have to be to make the playoff this year in the American League. I think you have to get to 90 wins to be a playoff team this year potentially.
I would agree.
With the amount of talent that's in the AL, so I think if you leave April, I don't know how many games we play exactly, but if on May 1st you're sitting at 12 and 17 or whatever, then I think it's just you're in a really tough spot.
I mean the AL as a whole, you're definitely right, Cam, but the AL East in particular, you can make arguments for every single team in the AL East has a real case to be made for making the playoffs.
Yeah, I agree.
For winning division.
I
mean, I think I think the Rays are a little behind everyone else.
They are
because they did trade away Lau, but it's
but they also their high end talent though is really.
I mean, Camaro's really good. Yeah,
Camaro's a stud.
Great.
Pepio and Rasmussen at the top of the rotation are
McClanahan,
incredible.
Is he healthy finally? Possibly.
You're probably getting McClanahan back.
Yeah.
They're not going away.
They're
not going away.
Somewhat unrelated, but I think the Blue Jays they could take a serious step back this year. I think their starting rotation's very good. That offense got substantially worse, and I don't think anyone's talking about it. I mean, they lost Bo Bichette. They did not land Kyle Tucker. They did not land Cody Bellinger. They did not land Alex Bregman. They got Kazuma Okamoto, who we don't really know how he's going to work.
Yeah, I mean, the only real legitimate subtraction was Bo Bichette, who played, 2 playoff games?
But
3 playoff games?
They are a prime regression candidate with a lot of their hitters. I don't know if you're going to get the same
production from I did not...
Dalton
I think, they got a lot of, Nathan Lucas. They got a lot out of...
Ernie Clement?
the guy
I don't know if Ernie Clement's going to have...
Taylor Porfido, who they just traded away.
Yeah.
I think they got a lot out
I can totally see them stepping back. I mean, I didn't see 2025 happening at all.
No.
So I can totally see them taking a step back. I just think,
I could see
they're still a very good team.
They are.
Tonton Derek going to be hurt for a pretty long time.
He's out the whole year, pretty much.
Yeah.
No,
yeah. That's why they traded for Sanchez the other day.
Yeah, I agree, Mike. I'm not saying they're going to be a bad team, but I just think that I feel like it wasn't really talked about that much. That this is an offense that broke out last year and had a lot of guys suddenly start playing well, and then
it
got worse offensively.
It wasn't talked about because the only player they lost was Bo Bichette, who nobody had re-signing with them. So
I think people expected him to re-sign, but then it got to a point where the Mets offered that crazy contract. But for a while, it seemed like, there's no way they're going to let Bo Bichette go. If they were going to let Bo Bichette leave, it seemed like they were going to do it and then bring in Kyle Tucker or
Yeah, it was like they were going to get
something
Kyle
like
Tucker.
that.
Yeah.
But then they didn't. And
Or even Bregman. Yeah.
I mean, I just think they have a lot of guys. I mean, like Andres Jimenez is their everyday shortstop who cannot hit. Like Vladdy obviously is great. Kirk is great. You know, Clement was great last year, but he's a guy that, I mean, he's a weird hitter. He swings at everything, doesn't make great contact. Or he makes great contact, but not necessarily hard contact. So I don't know. I think they have a lot of regression candidates there, and they lost one of their best hitters. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, no, I can see it. Yeah, I can see them taking a step back.
Hopefully the Orioles do not take a step back.
That would be horrible. We should do an episode.
It's going to be pretty hard to. It's going to be pretty hard to go any further back.
We should do an episode where I think we talked about this, but make a comparison to all the other teams in the AL East and kind of weigh out where the Orioles rank.
I think that's a pre-opening day show.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yep. All right, Cam, close it out.
He's definitely ill.
And I do not feel great right now. Hopefully it's cold and not in my room.
Go. Well, it's definitely your room. It's definitely your room.
I think it's a cold because I've been traveling. And all that.
And I think it's also the shit that's in your room.
I mean, there's a lot of dust.
Literal shit.
Maybe there's not literal shit in here, okay?
There's no way
we're
of
not
knowing.
that. I don't think we're that far off.
There's no way of knowing.
I don't think we're that far off.
We don't know what's hidden under there.
I mean,
all right, end this podcast and we'll roast
at
you
this
about
point.
it after.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode number 17.
Not
Number
17.
18 of Constant DisOgreement. We thank you all for listening. If you've made it this far, comment your favorite color on our most recent Twitter post.
And send that to Justin's DMs. Send that to Justin. Yeah. Let him know what your favorite color is.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds good.
I don't want to know it to Justin DM'd. All right. Thank you all for listening.
Well, you told everyone to send me anime last time.
Did I?
You did. Well, you said email Mikey Nadge at subject